Conversations with Iris. Here's your host, my loving wife, Iris.
Hola, mi gente bonita. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Conversations with Iris, the space where real talk, raw truth, and a whole lot of that good thing I love to call heart just come together. Because you know what? I keep telling you guys, every story deserves to be heard. Your voice matters. And it's just, I love bringing you guys all those great conversations that you could just pull up a chair, listen and tune in while you're working out, whatever, driving to home from work, whatever you're doing. Definitely a great way to just pop in one of these episodes and just listen away. Because here we don't just talk about life, we talk about all parts of life, the all real stuff, the messy, the complex, the absolutely worth exploring things. And of course, don't forget to hit download, mi gente. Come on now. You got to hit download, subscribe, listen, and share because every single play fuels this mission, this little podcast that cool, this little magic little community that we have built together. And we're just going to keep going. And as well, don't forget to show some love and support to my brother, my sister podcast over there, the Short Desk Podcast. My brothers and my wonderful hubby are doing their thing. So don't forget to hit subscribe and listen to them as well. So let's go back to our guests. I'm super excited to bring you guys some great conversations here. And all right, you better buckle up for this one because we're stepping into a conversation that's going to be super unfiltered, unapologetic, and truly just informative. My guest has gone from producing breaking news in the newsroom to breaking taboos in the adult industry, okay? She is the unapologetically the bold host of the Spicy Spectrum podcast. Ooh, I love the way that sounds. Spicy Spectrum. That's like hot. I love it. And she's been nominated for the best podcast at the 2025 Australian Adult Industry Award and a favorite adult podcast at the 225 here 2025. I can't say my numbers today, at the AVN Awards. So she's also the founder of Design Your Dream Girl, a groundbreaking service giving people a safe, judgment-free space to explore their deepest fantasies, which has also earned its own award nominations. And what I love about my guest today is that she doesn't just talk about the adult industry, she lives it, okay? She got a bird's eye view on loneliness, male sexuality, human desires, and the truths that we don't really like to talk about. But you know what? These things are good to talk about. We need to embrace them more because you need to. And she's not afraid to put it all out there in the table. So, mi gente, please give me help a warm welcome to the magic, the real Pepper Cat. Bienvenidos and welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm great. How's it going?
Very good, very good. I'm super excited to bring you on board. As I mentioned, just get started here. Where does this conversation take you? Where are you currently reside from?
Mhm. Yeah, so I'm currently in the South, so I'm in the Atlanta area. I'm not from here. I'm a transplant, but I've been here for about a year or so.
So you're coming from good old sunny ATL. Show that.
Yeah.
I love me some ATL. We have a lot of great friends and just a lot of cultivating relationships over there. It's just a beautiful city and a good area to live, you know? Love
It
Atlanta.
is. Yeah, it is.
You guys got some good food and the vibes. I love it. Let me ask you something. Let me just say this. What's that one song that you would say that this is exactly where you are in your life right now? Like if you're coming into a room, what's that song or theme song that you would hear in the back of your little head there and say, yeah, this is what people hear when I walk into the room? Which one would that be?
Um, I love Doja Cat.
Oh, yes.
I like I would say with one of her songs, I love Paint the Town Red. I think that's where I am right now. Just or
Hmm.
just showing myself and being authentic and um not caring what people think in terms of if they're not okay with what I'm doing, but also having confidence to.
I like that, and I like that song too, girl. Because let me tell you, I got some Dojo Cat on my playlist too. She is the shit.
I love her. Yeah.
She's good stuff for sure. So I definitely wanted to just unpack a little bit about Peppa Cat here. I want to get to know you a little bit more. Can you give us a little bit of a rundown of your upbringings? And you also host this bold and beautiful podcast to Spicy Spectrum. I just love the way that sounds, Spicy Spectrum. And tell us but a little bit about you, your upbringings, where are you from, and what led to you coming up with this wonderful podcast and what you're currently do now and what you're currently trying to get out there for people to understand. So let's talk about that. I know that's a big question, but let's jump into it.
Yeah, so I grew up, I'll just say on the East Coast, but it was a very religious household. So I grew up Baptist and I went to Catholic school up from middle school up until high school. And it
Okay.
was very conservative, a very conservative city. It was a little liberal, but like it's like still like not too not it wasn't like an LA or a New York City, but it was yeah, very very conservative. And so I grew up in a place where I really couldn't to me I feel like I really couldn't be myself when I was in high school and when I went to Catholic school. And I grew up with a single mother and a twin sister. So she's actually
Wow.
quite the opposite of me. Yeah, she's super religious and I'm not, and it does cause a little conflict, but we're at an understanding that we're all just doing our own thing. And so when I went to college, I actually explored myself in terms of learning more about sexuality. I was always curious about sex because it wasn't really taught to me as much growing up. And if it was taught to me in school, it was always the negative side of
Yeah.
having sex, like having babies and stuff
Mhm.
like that. But so I took a lot of sex and sexuality classes, and I think that's where it all really started with me exploring sexuality and why we have de- desires, but why we're also ashamed of them too. And so that's basically my background in terms of how I grew up.
And thank you so much for that. And I want to hone in on something. You grew up in the East Coast in a very conservative type of environment, religious environment there. And you basically said, you know what? I'm going to explore this thing called sexuality. What are the things I like? So while you were going through this process and trying to explore this thing that we feel so uncomfortable talking about, sexual desires, what then transitioned from that and you were like, okay, so what am I going to do from now after I've learned what I've learned about sexuality, my sexuality, and where did life take you after that?
Yeah, so when I learned about it, it did open my perspective. Afterwards, I did end up working like at a conservative news station, but I was still open sexually in my personal life. Like when I dated, I was always open with my partners. And then I think I really broke out when I was at my last news station, and I enjoyed working there. I didn't mind it being conservative or anything like that. I just saw it as work. But I was not happy. I felt like I was working a lot and getting paid a little. And what people don't understand is when you watch the news and and you see the reporter and the anchor, the one who's really doing the work
Yeah.
is the producer, but we don't always get paid a lot. And so I felt like I was overextending my energy and not getting anything in return. And so I found out about phone sex and camming and selling panties. And I was like, oh, what is this? This is really interesting. And so then when I was working at the news station, I actually um, indulged in that after. So I would work as a news producer during the day, and then I would tap into my sexual energy and go on certain sites at night. And then I found out that I was really good at it. It came natural to me, and also I was earning more than at my past job. And so that's when I just decided to take a leap of faith, and something told me just quit and just see what happens, which is really crazy, but it turned out great for me. And that's how I really started to tap into my sexuality on cam for people who felt shame about their own sexuality and sex,
Yeah.
and who came to me to feel comfortable living in their truth.
Mm. And that's funny too because hey, you're not the only person out there that has left what people call what the real job to do something that makes them feel better. You were having fun doing the camming, phone sex, and just exploring your sexuality. You're not the first person. So I do have to ask, did you make more money than the real job? It seems like you did.
I did. I did. So I worked my last job, I think half the year, and then I did um, adult industry the second half, and I actually made more than I made that year or that half a year at my other job. And yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, way
Wow,
more.
wow. And how was that transition coming from you said you did a little bit of, camming there that people actually for our listeners that don't know, you go into the website, you pay. We have popular websites like OnlyFans out there, right?
Mhm.
There's also Pornhub and all that good stuff. And once you got off of that and then you transitioned to doing adult industry, how was that? Like you were like really like filming and all of that, was there a little voice behind your head like, no, I got this? Like what was going through your head right now through that process?
Yeah, so when I first started, I did audio only. I did phone sex, and then when I was on cam, I wore like an eye mask. So I was still mysterious. I didn't really show my identity. And then one day, this guy was like, "Hey, do you want to do a one-on-one cam?" And I did the cam show, and I didn't wear my mask. And I was like, "Well, at this point, I earn more with showing my face, and it's already out there, so let's see what happens when I film content, and that, when it goes online." And I know some people, when they hear stuff like this, some thoughts may be like, "Oh, well, are you concerned about you getting a job, or if you if your face is out there for all to see?" But for me at that time, my brain was fully developed, so I knew what I was doing and I knew what I was getting into, and I knew that the only way for me to be successful is to just go all in and to put my best foot forward. And so I was a little scared that someone who I knew may have seen me, which now everyone knows, but back then I was a little nervous. And then honestly, after earning my money and just being focused and having fun doing it, that all went um, in the back end. So I didn't really think about that once I started to actually make adult content that everyone,
Was able to see.
yeah. Hmm.
Okay. So tell me, and this is a question I wanted to definitely ask, but when people think about the adult industry or just being an adult entertainer, it's often fueled with negative stereotypes. Like, I hate that. Hey, just let people do their thing, make their money, mind your own business. You got to do a living, but what's the one truth you just wish everyone knew about the real human side of the work? What can you tell us about that?
So, one thing I want to say is I know that some people think that the adult industry influences society, which in some ways it does, which I'm not going to sit here and be dishonest, but what people don't realize is that those top porn categories, or what people see when they go to adult websites, that's actually a reflection of true desires that people have. We are only a mirror of people's wants or inner thoughts that they can't say out loud. And a lot of people come to us because they feel ashamed of who they are and what they like. And what people don't realize is that we are, and I know it sounds funny, but I mean, we are sexual healers.
Yes.
We hold society together. There are people who need outlets, and if they don't have an outlet, people will be outlets without consent. I'm just being 100% honest. And this is something that
Of
a lot of
course.
us don't really talk about because either people won't believe us or it just sounds crazy, but there are people who need to regulate themselves with sexual outlets. And oftentimes you see in countries where people don't have outlets, you see the most sexual crimes and violence because there are not outlets for people to go to. So
Mhm.
that's the biggest misconception I think people have.
I think so too, as well. And you mentioned something that I like. The way you said it just stood out to me, a reflection of a person's true desires. So when we go out there, we search for something, it's definitely something that we are yearning for, right? Let's be real, right? We want it. We want whatever we're researching, whatever we're looking into. What is your theory, or what would you suggest for somebody that's just trying to find their true desires, but they're scared? We have, and I'm just going to throw this out there. We have people that have weird fetishes. We have people
Hmm.
that have, desired same sex, threesomes, whatever you're into, that's just fine. But what would you say for somebody that's just a little bit scared to hide behind that shell? I mean, it is a reflection of your true desire, but how do you think we could break through that?
I think finding safe and sensual places to find a place where you don't feel alone. There are ethical indie sites, the ones I'm on, where there are smaller creators. If you don't like sh- stream content, there's always content or sites where you can find a niche, and it's guaranteed that if you're into it, someone else is into it too. So you're not alone. And also, I would like to say too that it's okay to have a kink or fetish, but also don't, or make sure that you are not pressuring other people, that you are not crossing anyone's boundaries, and to make sure that you're having fun and consensual, naughty fun while also not hurting yourself or others is a big thing for me in terms
Mm,
of someone who's into, a little naughty
of
activity.
course, of course. So it's okay to embrace that fetish as long as you practice it in a safe environment, pretty much, right? That's what you're
Hmm.
trying to tell the listeners for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I definitely want to like change gears a little bit and talk about loneliness as an epidemic. You talk about that quite a lot. And you describe that male loneliness is a silent epidemic. And if loneliness alone just had a voice, what do you think it would be screaming right now to the world that's hearing this?
Yeah. Yeah. So, when I first started doing this line of work, I didn't get many younger men. I mostly saw a lot of middle-aged to older men come to me for services. What I'm seeing now is a lot of younger men who are experiencing some sort of loneliness, in addition to anyone who's not young as well. And I think that we are in a time where a lot of people are glued to their phones. They don't really
Yeah.
have communication skills,
Mm,
especially after COVID, and a lot of people, from what,
unfortunately.
mhm, yeah, and what I've seen is I have seen a lot of them come to me telling me that they're virgins, or I have divorced men saying how hard it is dating now and how they are confused as to what they do. Do they hold the door? Do they not? They don't know. Because I think, too, what a lot of men are experiencing is a shift in roles and what that looks like in society. And they don't know what to do because what they were told to be as a man is changing. And so I see a lot of them kind of struggling with that aspect. And then, too, when it comes to male sexuality, I think that's a big part of loneliness that people don't really talk about. Male sexuality is misunderstood, and it often does cause someone to feel like they can't really be themselves, or they can't express themselves sexually without being judged or shut down. And so then they come to us to find a place where they can have connection in a way that they don't always feel that they can in other ways. And I'm all for people finding outlets, but I do think that people should have a healthy balance. Like, you shouldn't rely on a website only to communicate. I think that adult sites can be used in a positive way or negative way, but it's should always have a healthy balance. And so I do see that too, where some people are kind of depending on sites and some aren't.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's what I see when it comes to male loneliness. And I actually saw this a couple of years ago prior to them even talking about it. And that's one thing too about the adult industry as well, is that you always see the trend before the world sees it. So we all saw the male loneliness prior to the news talking about it, because again, we have a bird's eye view of society
Yeah.
before everyone catches on. So,
And that's unfortunate too. And that's a bit shocking. So you see that a lot right now in your work where are these men over the age of 40? Like give me an age range where you see this loneliness.
I'm gonna be honest, 18
Oh my
until 40.
goodness.
Yeah,
Oh my
a lot
goodness.
of younger men, they don't even know, like the Gen Z. Even when I can with them, some of them just type. They don't even talk on camera.
Oh,
So
and I bet that's
yeah,
frustrating too.
it is. And I'm like, it's okay. A lot of them have like social anxiety. This is the first time a lot of them are even talking to women, you
Oh my
know?
god. And that's crazy, but we do live in a world like that. I'll tell you what. I have a 20-year-old something son, and he sometimes is very socially awkward out there. Sometimes we have to, "Hey, talk to that girl. She's cute," or "Hey, do this." It's very weird, and I think COVID, you're absolutely right. It killed that a lot. We are kind of complacent, laid back. We're just not out there as we should. And that's crazy to me, but I'm glad that you're bringing that up because something has to improve to like overcome this loneliness with men. And you mentioned men. Have you experienced that with females too? Girls were like more social butterflies. Again, it depends. Maybe they're introverts, but do you see that also in women or just mostly more? You said males, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, so most of my customers are men. I have gotten a couple of women who are like bi curious, I guess, and
Mhm.
they may feel a little lonely in terms of their sexuality and them not being open with it with others, but it's super rare. And like you were saying, women are more social, even with other adult entertainers. Like, we have group chats where we talk to one another, so at least we have that. But
Yeah.
yeah, as opposed to men who don't really always have that.
Mm, that is so crazy. So I definitely want to go ahead and talk about your design, your design, your dream girl. I want to definitely touch base on that because it sounds like a playground for just wonderful desires, exploring who you are, but also a deep dive into people's vulnerabilities, right? Which I like that you're doing that. And I like how you create a safe space that, is safe for fantasy and let your thoughts explore while staying grounded and respect people's reality. Let's talk about Design Your Dream Girl. How did that come about? And tell me the process on that.
Sure. So during the rise of AI, I think people still need that human connection, even if it's virtual, with a human. And so
Yeah.
I created Design Your Dream Girl to create a safe and discreet place where people can live out their fantasies and be naughty, but also be safe, and also customize that experience, whether it be through video or live camming or through chat. It's a place where they can actually design the dream girl that they want, in
Hmm.
terms of the role play or connection, and actually step into experience without feeling like they are judged for a kink or fetish that they want to indulge in and be naughty.
Oh, I
Yeah.
like the way you said it. That's so hot.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that. So pretty much a space where people could be themselves with no judgments. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And you're also known for pushing conversations into places, people avoid, right? Like it's just people don't want to talk about sex. And how do you personally decide which boundaries are worth challenging? I'm like out of curiosity, or and which ones you'll never cross.
Yeah. I usually talk about it all. Like I no there are things like okay, so I do come in contact which a lot of us do, which people think that we only contact like the quote unquote creepy man in the basement, on the computer talking, but quite, honestly, I mean, I've been in contact with politicians, celebrities, people who you would never think come to us. So I don't share their
Of
names and stuff like
course.
that, but I do share the common experience that we all have together when it comes to our desires and sometimes us not wanting to talk about it because it feels uncomfortable. And I often find that talking about uncomfortable topics and taboo topics helps to um, educate, even if it may make someone feel uncomfortable. But yeah, I try not to cross people's boundaries or share personal information, but still talk about the common experience that that person may be experiencing when it comes to shame and sexuality.
Oh, that's awesome. And let me ask you, 10 years from now, when people are talking about Peppa Cat, I just wanted to say that yes, I went to your website and you are absolutely beautiful, ma'am. Just want to put that out there. But if anybody heard anything from this show, what impact or what do you want them to take away from this beautiful conversation we're having?
I want them to know, or you, whoever's listening, to
Mhm.
know that it's okay to have both light and shadow parts of yourself. It's a part of being human. You can't always be perfect, and it's okay to take off that mask and reveal parts of yourself. And there's a time and place for everything. I think that sexuality is a big part of being human that a lot of us like to sweep under the rug. And it's one of the missing parts of you moving forward. And it can be raw, it can be uncomfortable, but it still is a part of you. And it's nothing wrong with how you're feeling in terms of sex and your dirty thoughts. And we are often taught to not talk about it and address it, but um, I encourage people to step out of their comfort zone and be 100% human and embrace your humanity as well as other people's humanity and lead with curiosity and not judgment and putting yourself down.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And Pepper, as we start to wind down, just, this wonderful boundary pushing exchange conversation, I have to ask you, what is in store next in life for you? Like, what is bubbling on your horizon? What's going on behind the scenes of you? What can we expect in the future? Do you have anything in the works that we should be watching the pipeline for?
Sure. Yeah, I really want to continue my podcast, Spicy Spectrum, and continue to have uncomfortable conversations. I also want to, in the future, expand Design Your Dreamgirl. I am the face of it, but eventually I want to be behind the scenes and run my own website and actually have other people work on that site and be dream girls and
Yes.
tap into the business side of adult entertainment.
Oh, that's good. So we have a lot of things to look forward now, continuing on with your podcast and continue to evolve on your website and designing your ideal dream girl. I mean, that sounds like a lot of great things to look forward to. But before we get out of here, tell me, what's that one mantra that you carry around with you to these days? Like, I'm curious because if I want to leave our listeners today with your mantra for somebody that's curious about their desires, or maybe they're ashamed of them, they just want to go out there and break out of that shell, what would you tell that person with a little mantra?
You can be naughty and nice. You don't have to pick, and um, it's okay to and indulge and not feel guilty. That's my
Mm, I like
mantra.
that. I like that. And where can our listeners find you, my dear? Tell us where we could connect with you, support your work, and of course, dive into specs. No, hold on. Spicy spectrum. Did I say that good?
Yep, you did.
Oh, tell me, where can we find you?
If you visit designyourdreamgirl.com, that's my main hub. It has my link to my podcast, Spicy Spectrum, and it also has my links to my social media. So that's my main hub if you want to check out my podcast, join my email list, or even have a naughty fantasy. Yeah, find me
Mhm.
there.
Yes, I
But you have to be
love that.
18 and up. So
18 up, remember
yeah.
that. That was beautiful, and I love what you're doing, Pepper Cat. Hey, for my listeners listening, you guys know that I'm an open book and I support people like this, and what you're doing, Pepper Cat, because I think we need to break out of our shell. We need to talk about sex. We need to talk about all that good stuff that makes us feel good and explore our desires. And I love it. So make sure you follow, support, and stay connected with your truth and everything that you're offering right there. Peppa Cat, I want to say that I want to thank you so much for being real and sharing this conversation with us. So I deeply want to thank you so much and talk about people's desires, the loneliness that you're currently seeing in our generation now, especially with men. So it's definitely more than a conversation. It's an invitation for all of us to get real about who we are and what we want. So thank you so much for being part of my show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And to everyone listening, thank you for showing up for another fearless and awesome conversation. This isn't goodbye, it's just till next time. Con mucho amor, this is Conversations with Iris. Thank you all.